Welcome to part 4 of my series of videos on how to install your own home alarm. Part 1 covered all the necessary equipment you would need for every alarm system. Part 2 covered how you would hook up all that equipment. Part 3 covered the myriad of possible sensors that you could hook up to the alarm. Now I'd like to start talking about programming. Before we get started, let me give you a real short test that will check your technical expertise to see if you can actually program a panel. Do you own a telephone? Have you ever opened up a phone book and looked up a phone number? Finally, have you ever taken that phone number, then used it to dial the phone? Congratulations, you have the skills required to program a home alarm panel. Why don't I start out by drawing a parallel between using a telephone and programming an alarm panel for you. Every number in this phone number serves a specific purpose. The 1 tells the dial-in exchange to expect 10 numbers dialed instead of 7. The alarm panel also needs to know what to expect when you start programming it. You have 2 choices. An asterisk means you want to make a change to the programming, while a pound sign simply means you want to look at the programming, not change it. Back to the phone number. The area code is simply a list. The list normally contains geographical locations of where the telephone you want to call is located. Also on the list are special codes like 800, which means toll-free. The same list exists inside your alarm panel, but instead of geographical locations, you have a list of command functions that can be performed. Finally, the last 2 groups of numbers identify a discrete individual telephone on that system. Likewise, this alarm panel needs discrete inputs for each partition. I'll explain partitions later, but basically this panel has 2 separate alarms inside of it. Each alarm needs inputs. So as you can see, interpreting this memory map of the alarm system is actually quite simple. Now let's figure out how to read this phone book for the alarm system. It's called your Programmer's Guide. Inside you'll see page after page of programming commands. Picking one at random, we'll look at exit delay. This will determine how much time you have to exit the house after you arm the alarm panel. Here we see a brief description of what the command does. This is a numerical code you will enter into the control panel, allowing the alarm system to know you want to program the exit delay. And this command is looking for 2 separate timing inputs, one for partition 1 and one for partition 2. The factory defaults are shown right here. In this case, both partitions have a 60-second exit delay. The values that you're allowed to select are listed right here. It's telling you if you enter any number from 0 to 96, it will give you that 0 to 96 seconds worth of delay. If you enter 97, it'll give you a 120-second delay. Pay very close attention to this block here. It tells you idiosyncrasies for specific alarm panels. For example, the panels listed cannot have a delay less than 45 seconds. A quick review. First, you're going to tell the computer what you're going to do. An asterisk means change data. A pound sign means review data. You're going to need to select the area you're going to change the programming in. And finally, you're going to select the specific information that you want to address. Okay, I mentioned I'd talk about partitions later. I think it's later. When you first opened the box for your alarm, you probably didn't even notice this little statement, 2 partition system. This actually means you can make this alarm panel act as 2 separate alarm systems. Let's say you have a house with a detached garage. You can program the house as partition 1, and programming information will be put into this block. Then you can set the garage as partition 2. And this location is where you would put that programming information. The result? You can set the alarm for both the house and the garage, or the alarm in the house can be left on while the garage is turned off, or vice versa, leave the garage alarm on with the house turned off. You also have sensors that belong in both partitions. It's called a common sensor. Let me give you an example. You have a work area with an office. The work area is partition 1. The office is partition 2. So a motion sensor that covers the office door and the work area would belong in both partitions. According to this note here, a common sensor or zone will automatically use partition 1's values. You don't have to program them individually. There are still 2 more tasks that have to be accomplished in regard to partitions. You must program each sensor into a zone and partition, and assign individual users the authority to arm or disarm a partition. Since I'm trying to keep each video under 10 minutes, I'll cover that stuff in the next video. Now let's move back to the programming guide so we can cover a couple more items. Let's take a look at page 2. The first thing you'll notice is there's two ways to enter programming mode. The first method is power up the panel and then press the asterisk key and the pound key at the same time. This is not the preferred method for entering program mode. I'll tell you why in just a second. This sequence of keys is how you want to do it. Let's take a look. You're now in program mode. Let's take a look at what it looks like if somebody locks you out of program mode. When this happens, you really have no choice but to use the two-finger method for entering programming. This involves a lot of running around. You have to go to the alarm box, disconnect the battery, remove power, reapply power, go over to the control panel, press asterisk and pound, then go back over to your alarm box and reconnect your battery. Now I hope you understand why this is not the preferred method of entering programming. Let me show you how you can be locked out of your programming. At the bottom of this list on page 2, you'll see there are two ways to exit programming. The normal method is to press asterisk 99. Now, the next time you enter asterisk 4112-800, you won't have any problems. Let's go back to the Programmer's Guide and look at the other way to exit programming. Enter asterisk 98. You drop out of and are locked out of programming mode now. A quick recap on exit programming modes. Installing the alarm in your own home, where only people you trust have access to the control panel, exit with asterisk 99. Installing the alarm in a work area, or where strangers have access to the control panel, then put a lock on your alarm box to prevent access to the battery, and exit using asterisk 98. Now only the person that has the key can reprogram the panel. I'd like to mention factory defaults at this time. I've spent months reading online forums about the problems you can have with alarm panels. And the vast majority of the problems seem to stem from programming. Specifically, a data field was set to a value the programmer didn't know about. The easiest solution to this problem? Reset the panel back to factory defaults. This is how you do that. Enter the programming command, asterisk 97. Three beeps, that's all you'll get. The deed has been done. I would recommend a factory reset on all new panels and when you run into a problem you can't seem to fix. In the next video, I'm going to cover zone programming, asterisk 56. This is where you actually tell the alarm panel how to respond to all the sensors that you set up. And we'll cover alpha programming, star 82. This is neat in the fact that you get to name the zone. So instead of the alarm saying fault in zone 1, it'll say fault front door. Before we go, let me provide you with a little bonus material. You remember that exit delay command we worked so hard to understand? Let's use that command to program a 60-second exit delay into partitions 1 and 2. Let's take a look at what the information on this screen means. Exit delay is the name of the command you're working on. The numbers 1 and 2 means you can enter data for both partitions 1 and 2. And the 34 is the field or register that you're changing inside the computer. Back to programming. Let's set it to 60 first. The panel automatically displays the next available field that needs data entered into it. To review the data you just put in, remember to use the pound sign. Pay attention to the weird way it displays your numbers in the lower right-hand corner. It only displays one number at a time. Pound 34. It actually showed you partitions 1 and 2 are both set to 60. Oh yeah, I did figure out a shortcut while you're programming if you're only doing one partition. Just enter your partition 1 variable, then hit the asterisk key. Watch while I program exit delay to 0. Let's set it to 0. That's all there's going to be for this video. I guess I should throw in a disclaimer. I am not a professional alarm installer. I'm just some guy that likes to teach himself new skills, then pass it on to others. Thanks for watching.